faded a little bit towards the end in Circum Millions. However, bought in on Circa Survivor and made out pretty well there, Fez.
Yeah, so I have a question for the panel here. This might be a little scummy what I did, so let me ask you guys. So I invested. Was not part of the L.A. Jones Survivor entry, and I invested in him starting around Thanksgiving. All right, so I wound up with a 16% share, and then after some other stuff, I wound up with a check for $400,000. All right, and then I asked Greg when they called up the winners. I said, it's your entry going up. He says, no, come on up. You and Spooky come on up, because he sold to me and to someone else. Yeah. So we were part of the team at that point. Then after the presentation of the check, a tailor comes by and says, do you want your Circa Survivor jacket? I'm like, heck yeah, I want my Survivor jacket. I ordered it. Now, Patrick, this is funny. I had to pay for it. It wasn't complimentary. But yeah, I'm paying for my Circa Survivor jacket. What do you think? Is that scummy or is that legit?
Go ahead, Amal.
I would say you're Mike Penberthy on the Lakers. You're riding the coattails of Shaq and everyone else.
Exactly. I agree. I think it's a little scummy, but I couldn't resist.
It doesn't
if
happen
you have
without
an opportunity to floss, you got to floss. Yeah. I know, Dustin. Your mic's off, Dustin, but I know you agree. You would be flossing right now.
It doesn't happen without you. It's like a player added at the trade deadline, even though there's only like 8 weeks left in the regular season, they still are a reason why you won the championship.
I have a question.
That is a great point, because I did consult with Greg, and he won it. I mean, he got us. He went by himself through like 16 weeks, all right? But I can tell you that without talking to me and me being involved, it's very, very likely he would not have made it to the finish line.
That's fair. I didn't know you were giving input on that. I just thought it was a situation where he was kind of trying to mitigate some of his risk or liability
initially,
in terms of hedging and things like that. So that's why I would ask that.
But once I got an ownership percentage of greater than 10%, you know me. I'm like constantly like, don't like. There was 1 week he was going to play the Vikings against the Packers, and like literally, I was like, you cannot play the Vikings. Yeah. It's like you have this fifth round quarterback that's completely unproven, and the Packers are surging. It's like, Patrick, you know how I am. I'm so politically incorrect.
No. There's no waffle. The best thing about Fezzik, and it's why he's good on radio and television, is because there's no such thing as waffling. Like, he has an opinion, and he's vociferous about his opinion. That's a good thing.
But there's plenty of other things where, like the last week, I told Greg, it's like, look, I would play the Lions, but I'm perfectly fine if you want to play the Chargers and have the perfect information at the end. But I would play the Lions. I said I wouldn't play this other team he was considering, and he liked the Raiders a lot. And I said, you know what, I don't like the Raiders. But I didn't like the Raiders because they were only laying 2.5 to 3. But I said, but I actually like the Raiders minus 2.5, so I'm fine if you want to play the Raiders. So we had discussions like that each and every week. And ultimately, hey, it worked, and we made it to the finish line.
Yeah, the Packers rolled them on New Year's Eve against Minnesota, and I'm with you on that Raiders game. I didn't think there was that much of an advantage in that particular spot, but obviously he was right, and the Raiders rolled.
So this is I have a question. Steve Fezzik, professional handicapper, joining us. We're going to get into championship weekend. First off, are you feeling better? You've been sick a lot, man. You okay?
So what's happened, I'm good. Yeah, thank you. Now the family's sick. I got them sick. There's a respiratory virus going around Vegas that everyone has caught once or twice, multiple times. And part of it is that people don't realize how hard we all work. So, we're doing the researching for the games, and then I really have 3 jobs. So I'm giving out my clients' plays, I'm betting the plays myself, I'm doing various media hits, and it's just like you're putting in all your contest plays, and we'll talk about what I was doing like right before the Bills game kicked off. It's literally 100 hours a week. Now, people say, well, watching a game on TV and betting it live, am I working? Well, I'm working, but it's not like I'm in a coal mine, mind you.
No, hold on. I want to ask the follow-up. The follow-up would be this. 99% of the audience is certainly never going to win $400,000. I mean, you've won myriad contests in your life, so this is something that happens. But I think most would like to know, how does that money actually get to you? So when you win a chunk like that, like how does that give the audience an idea of how this all goes down?
Oh, this is the most boring thing of all time. So this is going to be terrible. So I get my check for $400,000. Circa takes out the taxes, which I'm actually happy for because it's in this case, I don't know what the threshold is that they actually withdraw, but it's fine. It's like I prepaid my 2024 taxes already. Great. And so I get 300,000 some chunk and some change. And so immediately, like, all right, Johnny wants to go to Stanford, so I'm going to throw 100,000 into his custodial account for planning for college, and I'm going to pay off my HELOC, my home equity line of credit, which is like 100,000. That leaves 100,000 left for what's Stewie Unger's sake, for walking around money. So it disappeared.
That's not boring. That is not a boring answer. That is amazing. College tuition. Pay off your house and have $100K left over, Steve. That's tremendous.
You know, with college tuition, that's like 1 year. And I hate to give advice to people, but you know what? If your child is like going to Princeton or Harvard, go. You know, absolutely. If your child is like a good student and is trying to get into like, you know, a pretty good school and he's like a B+ student, just go to a state school. It's like, you know, you're not going to get quite as good an education, but like people paying like $75,000 to go to an okay school is to me like Auburn, for instance. Who pays $50,000 to go to Auburn? Go to the University of Georgia, get the same education.
I have a friend of mine, his daughter goes to Tulane. He said, how about I just give you $300,000 cash and you start a business instead of going to school?
You'll never make it back unless, I understand if you become a doctor or if you become or you go to San Francisco and you become a bigwig in Silicon Valley. But if you're going to be a school teacher, what are you doing? I mean, in terms of an investment, it's the worst investment you could ever make.
Patrick, one quick follow-up. You mentioned the taxes. So it is across the board that they just universally take out the taxes on a contest winning like this because it's greater than 60-1, or what is the scenario here?
I don't know the threshold because in Circum Millions I faded. By the way, and you guys will get a kick out of this. So I was in the top 5 for much of November, all right? I never got the lead, but I finished 21st. So I got 24,000 in Circum Millions, 21st out of 5,300. And so I was reading one website. It's like, oh, Steve Fezzik, total loser. That guy can't be trusted down the stretch. You know, in contests, he completely choked. He finished 21st. And so get this. I've had in these contests. I've had like 6 top 20 finishes in contests. I've won 6 times. Like, I've never finished 2nd through 20th. I've been the luckiest, most clutch guy of all time in the final weeks of a contest. And this time I did fade. So, okay, so maybe I did choke this time. But I think long term, you know, I look back on it, and people don't understand, like, it's the way you play in certain cases, like a poker tournament. Yeah. It's almost like, oh, that's a cooler. There's no way that guy's going to win the way he plays. And that's really what happened to me in Circum Millions.
No, your run's been incredible. You don't have to answer to anybody. Now, I want you to be careful with this question, but the industry itself. You are a person, kind of a watchdog. You've been doing this for 20-plus years, so you often have thoughts about the industry. Is there anything that's happening within the industry right now you'd like to comment on?
Yeah, I think a couple things. I don't understand. People get mad at me, some of the bookmakers. The betting exchanges, why aren't they becoming more popular? I know they're complicated and then there's no liquidity when you're betting props and things like that. But this is the time of year. Think about it. You've got lines like Detroit, Tampa. The line's 6, okay? It's basically painted 6. I know Circa went to 6.5 at post. So on a betting exchange, you can lay 6 minus 101. You can take plus 6, lay 101. All right? Now you have to pay it. If you accept an offer, you got to pay a 1% commission. So that's like an extra 2 cents. So it's like playing minus 103. So do you want to pay $3 for a hamburger, or do you want to pay $10 for a hamburger? And it scales, you know, when you're making really big bets. And I just don't know why Profit Exchange in New Jersey and places like that aren't seeing just a tremendous influx of more people playing, especially island games, big games, NFL, NBA playoffs. Certainly not like a college basketball.
Because I'll answer that question for you. For the same reason why Caesars and MGM is able to get away with minus 115 on second halves, and nobody thinks twice about it.
Yeah, people are just gambling. People, it's like the 3 green on the roulette wheel. It's like people don't even notice.
It's exactly
3 instead
right.
of 2. Yeah.
Do you have a casino review? You're a person that's sophisticated. I hear there's some new casinos opening up around town. Have you been able to check them out?
So so my buddy Anthony Curtis says I'm an old guy. I hate new things. He all the time. So get off my lawn. So good news. I went to Casino Durango, and it is a locals casino. It's in the foothills towards Los Angeles, towards Summerlin then. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely light, airy. The sun comes in. It's a complete contrast. Casinos are supposed to be closed off, no clocks, don't know whether it's day or night, be a vampire. And so I give it my highest grade. I love the whole sportsbook area around there. They have the same sportsbooks lines as Station. So A+ Durango. Fontainebleau F-. They've fired 3 executives already. They should fire everyone. Every single person associated with should be fired. And here's where I'm starting. You have to be an MIT grad to figure out how to get into the casino. So they don't show you where. There's no sign showing you where to self-park. Then when you get into South Park, there's no sign saying, this is the way, this is the entrance. You just got to figure it out yourself. Half the town is disabled, and they can't even, move. So you're in your walker trying to figure out how to get to the casino. Oh, but no, you have to walk through the registration. It's and flawed other places. Planet Hollywood did this, the former Aladdin, and MGM Grand, where you had to walk all this distance. And it's like Steve Wynn showed you, dummies. Listen, Dumbos, just copy off of Steve Wynn. Treasure Island. Mirage, you have that parking garage that's right next to the casino. You walk right in, you see a beautiful arboretum. How hard is it to just copy off anyone? Why is everyone struggling with this?
They deserve to lose every penny that they're going to lose there. It is the worst designed casino I've ever seen. Let me tell you, I'm a walker. I don't mind walking. It takes me 10 minutes from the parking garage to walk into the casino in there, and I fly. I'm telling you right now, it is the worst designed place. Congratulations. They'll end up losing about $4 billion. Anything built north of the wind, nobody walks to. But they couldn't figure it out. They'll eventually find out when they're in bankruptcy.
He's got the pep back in his step after being sick for so long. Pregame.com, professional handicapper. You can tell he's back at Fezzik Sports. Now, back in the day, you used to tell us about your little trick when in-game betting. I think it was like 999 or something. You wouldn't use. Remember how you used to enter it so you would just be able to do it so efficiently?
Yeah, so it's hard for me with my fat thumbs to put in 1,000. So I bet 999. 999. It's so much quicker, And by the way, if you're betting on your accounts and your password is like Zizix, Gladiola 79, you probably should change your password to something like CAT or better yet 888, because if you're a high volume bettor, you can't be typing it. You can't be screwing around with 20-digit encrypted passwords. It's you know what? If someone somehow gets into my Circa account and starts betting on it, well, I'll deal with it. But I'm going to have a simple password.
Well, also with the frequency with which you're probably in the account, I don't think they're getting that many bets down by the time you notice it.
Yes.
I always reference 07 when I started in-game, and it was very rudimentary back then with the offshore stuff. It was very rudimentary. Let's, just from a professional perspective, when you really started kind of converting to in-game and the mass changes, what has it changed for you?
Well, the odds maker puts up some bad numbers, and then you've got guys like the @BradPower7 that on the Circa openers, I don't know if you watch this, every Sunday morning, the NFL's going on, 11 a.m., the college football comes up, and here comes Brad Powers, firing away game after game after game. He's made sides and totals on every game, and everything moves within 30 seconds, all right? And then everyone else gets a kick at the can, and by midweek, guess what? It's hard to win against those numbers that have settled. Because you're not just playing against the odds makers, you're playing against the entire world. But here's the beauty of it. Boom. So you're going ahead and you're playing on a college basketball board, and there's 100 games going on, and all of a sudden it's just inevitable, DePaul's point guard is out. Wasn't supposed to be out. Apparently he's in a walking boot. Indiana's Ware is out, their big man. And so there's breaking news that happens right at post that people aren't even aware of until the game starts. Well, guess what? The algorithm is based upon the closing number that assumes that DePaul point guard is in. So you literally can bet all game long with the faulty algorithm because the odds makers are all setting it based upon a closing number that's faulty. And that's why I love live wagering.
I agree with Steve here, Patrick. And when you look at it, for example, let's say you have a point guard for a team that's a catalyst, and all of a sudden they have an injury during the game. It doesn't account for it, doesn't equate for it. I'll give you another example in college football. 2 years ago, Georgia was playing Oregon. Dan Lanning was the former defensive coordinator for Georgia and Kirby Smart. They're up by 42 points in the fourth quarter. The algorithm based on the total in-game at that point in time is based on a normal game and what it should be. But you knew Kirby at that point is not going to try and run up the score against a former coach. They were basically running equivalent to fullback dive on every play. There wasn't much scoring the rest of the way later in that fourth quarter. So those are little things that you can take into consideration that they can't quantify based on an algorithm.
Good stuff. Boys, you guys both gave your casino reviews. Steve, as a Vegas resident, are you excited or are you dreading Vegas hosting the Super Bowl?
A little bit of both. I mean, I survived F1 disaster with all the construction going on with that. Super Bowl can't be anywhere near as bad, and it will bring a whole lot of people to the town. And I got to tell you, professional bettors love when there's really big bettors that come to town because the poker games get really soft. So you can take advantage there and make more money. And also, you're just going to have people stumbling in like, give me 20,000 on this quarterback to go over, and the sports books have to take it because he's like a whale in the back right pit, and they play Mahomes over 255 pass yards. Like, all right, we'll move to 263, even though we're already high. So inevitably, you're going to see. You want volatility in the numbers. You want big volume betting the numbers. And in fact, one thing I haven't heard discussed on other shows, maybe they have, Right Angle Sports was releasing all these college basketball games at 6:30 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, and the board was sweeping up and down. 140s were becoming 144s, and it was a candy store for people betting because of, in Wall Street, the volatility created opportunities. And now Right Angle isn't giving out any plays for a while. They've taken a hiatus, and people are, really sad, Patrick, because now there's no volatility in the markets, and I look at NC Greensboro, and their total's 141 at every book, and it's been that way for 3 hours, and it's a lot harder to make money without that volatility.
Patrick, to answer your question, I think it's a great thing for the city. I think it brings in a lot of positivity. I think it'll be a challenge if you're moving around anywhere on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because of the number of people in town. And Steve mentioned the F1. I don't think there will ever be a bigger nightmare than that. That's still ongoing. If you go down Flamingo going towards Las Vegas Boulevard, yesterday was closed. I mean, it's just, look, it's a benefit economically. But for a city like Vegas that already attracts people, I don't know how much greater of an economic benefit it is than normally when you have other events that are going on.
Patrick, and with the F1, there is still a car bridge on the corner of Koval and Flamingo. So it's on Flamingo Road. It goes up to the second floor. Boom, boom, boom. It goes over Koval, and then it comes down. So, and actually, I was thinking to myself, highways obviously do this. Why hasn't Vegas, incorporated these car bridges more? Because it makes so much sense to streamline traffic. If it's good for highways, why not do it for arteries? We do have, for those who've been to town, the Desert Inn Arterial goes under the Strip, all right? But why not have some roads go over the Strip like that, on some of the lanes? It would make so much sense. Maybe wave of the future, they might do that.
It takes Dustin, as Steve's talking, I'm thinking it takes a particular mindset to be a professional bettor. And Steve has it because his life is about hunting inefficiencies. And what I mean by that is it's not just betting, but when he goes to use a gym, I won't give his tricks away, but he's got inefficiencies that he hunts. I'm sure when he orders food, there's inefficiencies he's looking for. Parking spots. Your brain just kind of works where you're trying to find an edge at everything you do.
If you go to a McDonald's and order a Big Mac, you have no idea what you're doing. Check you've just learned nothing in life. You order a Big Mac without pickles. I don't care if you like pickles. You order it without the pickles. You order the fries without salt. I don't care if you like salt. Keep the salt in the car. You know why? You're going to get a fresh, piping hot Big Mac, freshly made, and freshly made fries. Or you can have something that's been under like this sun burner for 28 minutes and it's soggy and heck. I mean, come on, everybody knows this. Everybody knows this.
I was told the McDonald's salt trick on the fries years ago because they got to put in a fresh batch there for you. You're absolutely right on that one.
Well, yeah, no, and you're right. When we first hung out with Steve for the first time, Patrick, he explained he had a very specific parking spot that no one knew about at the casino where he was betting those stale numbers. And he would set up his car so he can get out of there quickly and not get caught.
Bally's used to have an SPX. It was called, I don't know what SPX stands for, but it's a Harris book. And they said, Caesars, and it said SPX parking only. I swear to God, that may as well have said Fezzik parking only. Because that was my personal parking spot.
Here's the thing
when
about
I ran
parking
in.
illegally. You do the math wherever you are. Can they get a tow truck there fast enough from the time you're out? Who cares? You can park in a fire lane. It makes no difference.
Or factor the cost of the ticket into
You're not going to get a ticket. You're on a private property.
I actually wrote SPX, company and taped it to my windshield when I ran in.
Listen, you can park in front of a hydrant. By the time they get you towed, by the time they get your ticket, you're good, man. You'll be out of there. It's not a problem.
Well, the positive news about the parking space Dustin was referencing is Steve doesn't have to worry about that parking spot anymore.
I go downtown whenever I come here. I park. I park at the D because I'm coming in and I can get off. Boom, and it's the first casino coming into downtown, so I avoid the downtown congestion. So they take care of me. So that's my secret parking spot at the valet.
Your wife must be just a awesome human to keep up with that brain. right?
And
Did she ever just say, Steve, I need some time alone right now?
No, all
it's
the
just
time.
Too much.
Of course. But literally, like, so I'm doing all these things of efficiency, and then she's like, Weiss Deli, I need matzo ball soup. I'm not feeling well. And Weiss Deli's all the way on the east side of town. So here I'm a guy with all these efficiencies, but I'll just drop, getting this 50% casino bonus, and I'll drop, getting flat on this game because I'll drive, spend the hour and 10 minutes to go to Weiss Deli to get the matzo ball soup.
If we're taking a walk around the neighborhood, you should start with your left foot, because if you started with your right foot, you're going to end up like, it's just, Steve, I just want to take a walk with the family, okay? We're just taking a walk. He's back. Dustin, I think we can say that last time we had Steve, he was not feeling well, and he gutted out 2 segments, but he's officially back.
No, he had to tap out. He had to tap out.
I've never seen him tap out. He said, fellas, I got to go. We've kicked the can down the road enough. When we come back, the championship openers. Let's discuss them. I know you have 2 bets on those, and kind of help a better understand as the week progresses what you think will happen and sharp ways to attack championship Sunday. Okay? Steve Fezzik, you want to find him? He's at Fezzik Sports on Twitter, pregame.com, and he continues. That was awesome. We continue here. Sharp Money presented by DraftKings. Remember the brand new website, VSiN.com. It's great on the mobile as well. Check it out. We're back with Fezzik. And now it's time for a little championship talk, Fez. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to set up the numbers, and you just walk us through with the openers what you were thinking, and then we'll kind of progress as the week does as well. So DraftKings opened Baltimore 3, others 3.5. And then San Francisco opened 6.5, got hit up to 7 quickly. It's sitting 7, again, -7 at most shops. Walk us through the Kansas City-Baltimore game first.
All right, I'm going back in time when these open up. So, boom, San Francisco. How can I bet this game? I have no idea if Debo's playing. He's got to be worth 1.5. So San Fran's going to be laying 7, and I'd lean with a healthy Debo to San Fran. Heck, I'd make it 5.5 without Debo, and I probably might even lean the other way. Don't trust Purdy. That was very Jimmy G-ish at the end of the first half, where Shanahan basically said, we're going to be super careful here. We don't trust this quarterback. Total opens 52. That's ludicrous. If we get any kind of bad weather, it's going to drop even further. I don't trust Goff, away from the dome nearly as much. Under 52 is a slam dunk. I get any weather. It's going to be the world's greatest bet. Well, unfortunately, the weather's going to be beautiful in San Francisco. Unlucky. Maybe I could have looked it up before long-term weather forecast, but I fired under 52. I gave it out to my clients, and people like, oh, you still like it under 51? Not at all, because I didn't get any of the weather. And if Debo plays, now it's marginal. So that's a bet I made. I bet the biggest, and I don't even think it's that necessarily any good, but it's not bad. It's fine because I don't trust Goff as much on the road, and I don't think San Fran's going to be aggressive with how Purdy played, although it might have been the rain. By contrast, I do think Kansas City plus 3.5, which is still available. Put me down, Patrick, for an official play. It's flopping between 3 and 3.5. You can get 3.5s. I don't think Baltimore can be favored by more than 3 here. I get it. If you use the power ratings over the course of the season, you can make Baltimore 3.5, no problem. But Kansas City has got a quarterback. All he does is succeed in playoff games. Lamar Jackson, all he does is underperform in playoff games. He beat a team from Houston. I know it was cold for a week in Houston. Hey, Miami got rolled in cold weather in the playoffs, and so did Houston. And so I'm going to put a little asterisk by that. And frankly, Lamar didn't even play that well in the first half. I don't trust Baltimore. They've had the better year. Going forward next year, do I think Baltimore's going to be better than Kansas City? Absolutely not. Kansas City will be the better team. I know their receivers stink, and they fumble going in the goal line. They can't catch the ball, but they've got a quarterback. And KC, very similar to Buffalo. If I'm getting 3 or more, I got to bet Kansas City. I'm not getting 3. I'm getting 3.5. Lock that in, and that would be my best bet.
I like the
beautiful. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like the breakdown there. The one question I would ask you is it simply you had the Buffalo line at 2.5 against Kansas City, and you mentioned based on the power ratings, Baltimore. How would you kind of rate it with the way Baltimore's power rank compared to Buffalo? Both teams hosting in these spots.
Yeah, so Baltimore is a 9. Baltimore's a 9 right now because I did raise them off their impressive win. I had Buffalo 6.5. I had Kansas City a 6 going into this week. So I had Baltimore 8.5. I raised them to 9. KC I'll raise from a 6. They dominated that game. They could have easily won that game by 13 points. I think I'm going to raise them up to a 7. So that makes Baltimore 2 points better. Give them 1 for home field. Well, 1.5 for home field, but you're into the key number of 3. It's a rock solid 3. But wait a minute. That's just the power rating. Of course, I got to make an adjustment for experience in the 6th straight AFC title game for the Chiefs and the like. So I would lean Chiefs 3, and so that means 3.5 is like a really good bet. Why I haven't given this out to my clients yet, I have no idea. First thing I'm going to do when I get home.
I know I'm asking a lot for the projection. Where do we close with these two championship games?
Like I said, with Debo, 7. Without Debo, 5.5 on San Fran. I think the total's going to stay 51. I don't think the total's going to dry because the weather's so nice. If I take a look at Kansas City, bold prediction, the line's right now 3.3. I'll predict it closes 2.9. I'll predict that not only does it go to 3, but there's actually, I think there'll be a slight preference to Kansas City money +3. What do you think, Amal? Is that too bold of a line move projection?
No, I don't think so. I think you're absolutely right on this one. And I think you'll see some of the recency bias here from Mahomes and company. Look at the numbers statistically, Patrick. It's hard to really go against Patrick Mahomes and what he's done. You know, quick stat I saw on television. Quarterbacks that have trailed by more than 7 points during a postseason game. Patrick Mahomes is 8-2. Peyton Manning was 3-9. Tom Brady was 10-11. Joe Montana was 4-5.
That's a good stat.
Speaking of Mahomes, what'd you take away from the 3-point win yesterday in Buffalo?
Oh, I thought he played really well. Obviously, they left all kinds of points, on the table where they could have scored more. I like Mahomes because, and Josh Allen, the same thing's true. He doesn't run all the time during the regular season. So if you look at the underlying stats for the team, here's a team that Lamar does. So it's not like he's going to be any better in the playoffs. But Mahomes is absolutely willing to tuck it and run and move the chains when he needs the game like blood, and even more so when they're down 10 points. So it makes sense that Kansas City is so good when they absolutely positively need to score in any one drive.
Okay. Now, the props. Would you like to help the audience understand when betting into these individual player props, as far as, are they going to be shaded? Is it still something you're seeing where obviously most recreational bettors are going to be going over with the individual props? Is that something that you should alert the audience to?
Yeah, absolutely. So try to get to the good story as fast as possible. So what was the good story with Buffalo? Josh Allen likes to run. So boom. I mean, obviously it didn't matter at post because he went over by so much, but everyone was betting over 42, over 43, over 44 for his rush yards. Stuff like, you love injuries. You absolutely, as a better, love injuries. So Buffalo is depleted at wide receiver. So Gabe Davis is hurt. Diggs is a shell of himself. Well, somebody's got to catch the ball when Allen isn't running. And so it was Shazier, right? Was the guy that picked up the slack, and he got bet up from 31 to 36. And what's funny about that, Patrick, is that dude was at 32, and a lot of people bet over 32. A lot of people bet over 34.5. He gets a 2-yard completion. He's styling. It's the third quarter. He's going to go way over. Get up, Shazier. Get up. And he went to the locker room, the medical tent, and he did come back and get another catch, so he did sail over. But, there's nothing better than injuries and when you're betting this stuff. And there's some books that put this line up, like Caesars puts lines up on these players during the game. And so I'm not the amazing Kreskin. I don't know how healthy Laporte is. So how can I bet Laporte before the game starts? And then you watch and it's like, oh, dude is 100% healthy, and his number is 43. It's a stupid number. Of course, he catches 8 passes and flies over. And I've got my friend, the Hitman, just at Hitman428, and he literally coin flipped all year long, lost on his prop betting for what he gave his clients. He won for himself, but not much. But during the games when he's betting live, he's printing money because the algorithms are just wrong. They don't know how healthy Laporte is, and you take advantage of that information, and you do very, very well if you're focused. Or you can just sit back and drink beer and have a good time like 99% of the bettors seem to do.
You mentioned people.
Anything, Amal?
I just wanted to ask him. Steve had in notes. It was a great question about recreational bettors and how they should be tracking what they're doing and what the profit and losses are. Is that what you were talking about specifically, or? The recreational bettors, just in terms of the gamblers, I put a note. I think this is more gambling. Okay, yeah. What people should be tracking is how much money are they losing when they're gambling. All right. So guess what? You're going to play roulette. You're going to lose. All right. You're going to play backer. You're going to lose. Stop trying to win. You're not going to win. You're not going to win playing negative expectation games. So you're just doing it for fun. Well, guess what? You're not going to win playing golf or bowling either. It's fun. So where I was getting at with my notes is that you should go ahead and say, look, whenever I bet $100 on a roulette wheel, I'm losing $5.26. And so that's fine. You're having fun. Just explain briefly, though, to people why.
Because the expectation is such that if every time you wager on red or black or any number, the house edge is 5.26%. The extreme example, if you don't believe me, go and put $100 on all 38 numbers, all right? and you'll be risking 3,800, and you'll be getting back 3,600. You'll lose 200 divided by 3,800. That's hopefully 5.26% if I did the math right, provided it's a 2 green wheel. If it's a 3 green wheel, it's a little bit different. But that's fine. You're betting a little bit. You're having fun. You're drinking. You're with your buddies. It's fine. But calculate how much you're losing per hour in terms of your volume. If you're betting so much money that you're losing like $1,000 an hour, this is terrible, Patrick. I actually am angry at those people. It's like just pissing away $1,000 an hour. You don't have someone who's like, you know, a single mom raising 3 kids, special needs kid, working their butt off that maybe isn't a professional, that you can't help them out, and you just want to just donk off $1,000 playing red-black for $500 a hand. Stop being so selfish. Find someone that you can help out and make a meaningful difference in life. Still play your roulette. Just bet $10 a hand.
You got all that? Dustin, can you fact check the math that he was doing on the fly for me really quickly?
Yeah.
You know, the 5.5.
I'm going to punch it into my algo.
No, listen, 1/19th. Is it 1/19th? What's the math on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just. Yeah. I mean, there's 2 green wheels. If you, I mean, it's going to hit green 2 out of 38.
Exactly.
So to the house edge is 2 divided by 38. Yes.
I can confirm Steve's numbers.
Okay, thank you. That's all. I confirmed. Again, I was trying. That's exactly what I was looking for.
I gauged it based on how confident his voice sounded. He sounded pretty confident. I confirm.
Chiefs plus 3.5. We're taking God plus 3.5. Best bet.
Plus 3.5. That's your best bet at championship weekend?
Yes.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.